Thank you very much. I appreciate this. I have been discerning car accident case values for 12 years now, and you start to get an idea of what somebody's case is worth based on your experience with past cases. I'm walking back to my office right now with my lunch, and I'm just going to brain dump with you all the questions that you should ask when you want to figure out what your case is worth. Number one, how did the accident happen? Was the other driver drunk or committing a crime at the time of the accident? Does the other driver have a bad driving record or a criminal history that would give you leverage in negotiations? How did the accident happen? Was it a rear end accident? Did someone hit you head on? Did your car flip? What are the details of how the accident occurred? How about the property damage? Was there a lot of property damage involved? Even though property damage is a separate claim in itself, if you have a lot of damage, the insurance company is going to give a little bit more of a generous offer when it comes time to establish the value of the bodily injury claim. Next up is, how injured are you? And if you think you're that injured, do you have medical records that back it up? How much medical treatment have you received? What are your medical bills? Do you have mental anguish? Do you have emotional stress? Do you have future damages where you're going to need more medical treatment in the future? Regardless of how much medical treatment you get now, does your doctor say that you made a full recovery? Does he say that you've only made an 80% recovery? That plays an impact with the value of your case. How much are your medical bills? That is a big part of this. If you only have a couple $1,000s in medical bills, well, you should expect an offer that's in that realm, regardless of how injured you claim to be. You need documentation that backs up your injuries. You need medical bills that back up your injuries. If you don't have those things, then you have very little to no value on your case. Sometimes in the beginning of the case, the insurance company will throw a few $1,000s your way to try to settle the matter now, because they know that the longer the case goes on for, the more value that you could potentially have in your case and the more medical bills that they're going to have to pay. Were you consistent with your medical treatment? If you were not consistent with your medical treatment, you have something called gaps in your medical treatment, and you open up the door for the insurance company to say that, I guess you're not that hurt because you didn't follow through with your doctor's recommendations. And since you have this big of a gap in your treatment, how do we know that you didn't get hurt doing something else and then you went back to the doctor and tried to put it back on the car accident case? The big question is, how many holes do you have in your case, which has given the insurance company the ability to nickel and dime and critique your case when it comes to discerning the value of it. Have you missed work because of this accident? If you have, do you have documentation that shows that you've missed work and that you've missed work because you're injured? And can you get a letter from your employer that states how long you've worked there, how much you make an hour, and then how many hours you've missed due to this accident? Can you back that up with check stubs? That's important for lost wages. Loss of income. Can you prove that you can no longer do your job anymore and you need to get a different kind of job now, which is less money, which is going to play a factor in the value of your case? And if you have a big claim to make there, do you have an economic report that could back that up? Paper trail, paper trail, paper trail, paper trail, documentation, documentation, documentation. The insurance company does not care about your story, doesn't care about how hurt you are if you don't have a paper trail or documentation to prove it. I don't mean to be blunt there, but that's just the way that it is. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not going to lie to you and expect you to believe something that's not reality. I think I already mentioned this, but do you have future damages? And how much money are those future damages? Do you have a doctor that's putting on paper that you're going to need X amount of dollars for X amount of treatment after you were released from them. So you go to the insurance company and you say, look, yeah, this is my bills now, but I have all these recommendations that I need to get once this case is closed, and you should consider that in the future damages section. I think I've also mentioned this, but lost joys, how has this accident affected your life? Can you get together some lost joy letters from friends, family, coworkers, acquaintances that break down how they saw you as a person before the accident and how they see you now after the accident? Joe or Jane was a happy-go-lucky feller before the accident, and when the accident happened, they couldn't sleep anymore. They were distant, they were cold, they were depressed. However the accident has affected you, do you have documentation that backs that up? Because that gives the insurance adjuster more authority to give you a higher offer, and it also gives them more authority to go back to their supervisor to ask for a higher offer. If you don't provide documentation, I don't care what they say about going back to get a higher offer, they're probably not even going to call their supervisor or message them, because their supervisor already told them ahead of time, if they don't have anything tangible like documentation to get me to change my evaluation of how much money I'm going to pay on this case, don't even come back to me. Just don't. I'm going to tell you no, I'm not giving you a higher offer to give them. I think there's probably some things that I've missed here, but I'm just brain dumping. But I would say that one of the biggest things is, do you have a successful law firm that has a proven track record of going up against State Farm, Allstate, Progressive, Travelers, Liberty Mutual, USAA, ACCC, Old American County Mutual, whatever the insurance company is out there? If they look in their database and see that X law firm has been very successful when we go up against them, that's going to factor in to the offer that they give. If you were just a regular Joe or regular Jane on the street that has no leverage at all to go up against a billion-dollar insurance company, they're not threatened by you. They don't really care who's on the other side if you've never proven that you are able to go into a fight and win and be successful at that fight. When you've been able to prove that you have been very successful in past fights, then you go up into this fight and they go, why don't you put X amount of dollars down on the settlement, because we know if we enter into this fight, they're going to kick our butts later on and we're going to have to pay even more money. If you don't have that leverage, I don't care how much you know about the law, and even if you went to law school, it just doesn't matter. You're an encyclopedia. You have that, talent where Mike from Suits can just, recite everything by memory. It just doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, if you haven't been able to prove yourself that you've won fights in the past, they're just not concerned or scared for you about you. They have thousands, millions of cases every year. They're not all there in the big top boardrooms discussing your little case and, the fear that they may have because you said something on the phone to the adjuster who probably has very little authority to make a decision anyway. All right, if you'd like a free case evaluation, you can text or call me anytime, 832-925-2030. Man, it's hot out here. Now I got back sweat. Sorry, that was probably more details than you needed, but I'm being transparent with you guys. I'm always very honest and upfront with anyone that I talk to, and that's what you're always going to get if you talk to me. God bless you and have a good day.